Okay, we are continuing to learn about who the individuals involved in the January 6th Trump riot are and who they were and what areas of society and industry they came from. Now, I already told you, it was either last week or maybe the week before, that members of the military, current and former, were dramatically overrepresented among the Trump rioters on January 6th. Something like 14% of those arrested were either former or current members of the military. That's very concerning. And we now have another individual story. 14% is a general number. We now have an individual story that's even more horrifying. According to Time, a man who authorities say is a leader of the far-right Oath Keepers militia group and helped to organize other extremists in their participation in the January 6th Trump riots. Number one, held a top secret security clearance for decades. And number two, previously worked for the FBI, according to his own attorney. Now, you might be wondering, why is this guy's own attorney saying these things? It raises more concerns. It should make us horrified that that was the position this guy held. Well, his attorney is raising these issues to justify that he should be out on bail and that he's super trustworthy and you don't have to worry about him. The man's name is Thomas Caldwell. Authorities believe that he has a leadership role in this extremist group called the Oath Keepers. He was FBI section chief between 2009 and 2010. This is not any FBI person would be a real red flag in terms of their participation. But this was not a nobody to the extent that there are nobodies in the FBI. This was a section chief from 2009 to 2010. Previously, he was in the Navy. Again, we talked about the overrepresentation of members of the military among the Trump rioters. And his lawyer, Thomas Plofshin, wrote in a motion saying, listen, look at this guy's creds. You can safely release him as he awaits trial because he was in the Navy and he was FBI section chief. And the reason why you can trust him is he had this top secret security clearance and he worked for the FBI and he had a consulting firm that did work for the U.S. government. This guy's trustworthy. And of course, as many of us learn more and more about the individuals involved in the January 6th riot, we are horrified. We are horrified about, wow, I mean, listen, people can change in 11 years, right? This guy was FBI section chief from 2009 to 2010. In 2021, he finds himself participating in the Trump riot. Many of us would logically be led to ask, did the FBI miss signs about this guy back in 2009? And the counter argument will be, well, no, the FBI could have done its job at vetting in 2009. There really might have been nothing there then. And something happened since then that ended up radicalizing this guy to the point where he's part of the Oath Keepers, this right-wing militia group, and he's participating in the January 6th riots. But we all should be asking, who else is in there now? Who's in the military now? Who's in the FBI now that has these same ideas, the same ideology, the same allegiances, for lack of a better term, as this guy, and we just don't know about that yet. That is a very, very concerning element of this. And the truth is we should be horrified that these are the individuals that not just participated, but allegedly were organizers of the Trump riot. This is essentially a terrorist. This is someone who organized others to attempt a violent insurrection because they didn't like the results of a democratically held election. There's really no other way to define what these folks are. And the other kind of, a few people wrote to me and they said, you know, it's interesting that this guy Caldwell is now, he's disabled legally. He is on disability and he's on the government dole, so to speak. And people were pointing out two things. One is less interesting to me. Some folks wrote to me and said, David, this guy clearly is not disabled because he was able to participate in the riots. I think that that's the wrong angle to go at. I think it starts to get into these sometimes prejudicial or discriminatory things about what does a disabled person look like? And I don't like that. I'm not going to go in that direction. The part that is more interesting from a political standpoint is that a lot of anti-government extremists are sometimes completely dependent on the government. And that reminds me of, you know, keep the government out of my Medicare sort of stuff, where do people not understand where their benefits are coming from? Or do they not care? Are they blinded by ideology? Is it some combination of all of the above? That's more interesting to me. Evaluating whether someone is or isn't truly disabled based on whether they're at the riot, I'm not going to get involved in that. But the numbers continue to be concerning. 14% of those arrested, former or current military. We now are learning more about individuals who were relatively high-ranking folks within agencies up to and including the FBI. This should horrify all of us. We know that the military has been looking at white supremacy within its ranks for some time. But what is the FBI doing? What is the CIA doing? How many of these folks are in there within the system? And what does that mean going forward when we think about federal responses to events like this, which hopefully will be very infrequent, but history tells us it is bound to happen again at some point, and how prepared will we actually be? Let me know your thoughts. You can find me on Twitter at @dpakman. We'll be back, and much to discuss today. If you are anything like me, you probably aren't thrilled with the idea of going into a doctor's office right now. And thankfully, there's a practical and affordable way to take control of your health and get personalized care from the comfort of your home. It's a service called SteadyMD. They're one of our sponsors. You take a quiz, you get matched with a licensed primary care physician who understands your health needs. You have a 1-hour video call with your new doctor. You establish a meaningful relationship with them. And after that, your doctor is available to you anytime by text, phone, or video chat. This is not a random doctor on call. Each doctor at SteadyMD has a limited number of patients, so they actually have time to listen to you. You get the personal attention that you deserve. They can do almost everything an in-person doctor can do: perform medical evaluations, talk to you about health concerns, send prescriptions to your home or local pharmacy, and anything they can't do online, they'll quickly set you up with an in-person provider to do, things like blood tests, as an example. You don't need insurance. It's only $99 a month with no other fees or copays. There are so many practical advantages to using SteadyMD for primary care, and it's also so much more affordable. Go to steadymd.com/Pakman to take the free quiz, see which doctor is right for you. I took their quiz. They matched me with a doctor who specializes in my particular health needs and situation. The doctor they gave me is a really perfect fit for me and my medical needs. There's no risk, no commitment to get started. Just click the link right underneath this video.